Welcome to Tales with Blue. This story takes place in a small Canadian city this past spring, just as the snow had melted and going outdoors became bearable once again. So around May. I had been living with my parents all winter, so the season change arrived just in time to prevent my stir craziness. After work, I like to break up my routine and venture out of the house, even if to just go for a drive. Those were my thoughts on the evening this story is set. I hadn't seen one of my good friends in a few weeks since our work schedules often conflicted. When we did have some time, we would normally park somewhere secluded and smoke a few joints. This happened regularly enough that we usually ended up at the spot, our de facto meeting location. The spot was located on the campus of a local college on the outer edge of the city. It was easily accessible to us both, was relatively quiet, and there was never a cop to be seen. There were normally a few people parked at various points around the parking lot, probably doing the same thing we were, but kept out of each other's business. By night, the sea of empty parking stalls felt entirely our own. My friend and I arrived at the spot a little after 9 p.m. We parked in a small lot adjacent to a much larger one because we didn't want to be noticeable. The lot had one main entrance to the road, and were separated to the left, ours, and the right. Also to the left was the roadway toward a campus building, which looped around to the building's front entrance and exited through the parking lot where we were. From our parking spot, we had a full view of the main entrance, as well as anyone coming or going from the larger lot. However, a number of huge elm and pine trees obscured our view of the larger parking lot, creating a sense of seclusion from anyone who may be over there. We turned off the car and began to catch up, chatting and laughing for what seemed like hours. We opened the window to air out the car and began to hear a distant voice coming from beyond the trees. A man seemed to be speaking frantically to someone, although we could not hear another person. Several minutes of this went by, and then he finally appeared. From a distance, we saw him illuminated under one of the campus's street lamps. He appeared to be a young man dressed in a t-shirt and blue jeans, and was clearly yelling into his phone. He was too far away to make out any other characteristics. He began to walk down the main entrance toward the road, away from my car, and eventually disappeared into the dark. We had been on edge since we first heard the voice, so we were relieved to see him walk in the other direction. 20 minutes passed, and we had all but forgotten about him, quickly getting back to the details of each other's latest highs and lows. Our city is known to be somewhat dangerous at night, but we didn't feel much danger near the college. It had become our philosophy that anyone approaching our cars at night did not have good intentions, but we had the distinct advantage of 4 wheels and an engine. As we continued to talk, something started to feel out of place. In my periphery, I began to catch flickers of movement from the shadows toward the road. I turned to the right and saw the same man walking back toward the parking lot from the road. This time, he was no longer on his phone. We watched him in a slight daze for a few moments. He kept a steady pace and walked a straight line to our direction. He was still several hundred feet away, but a sense of eeriness began to build. We both expected that he would turn back to the large lot, to his car somewhere past the trees. He did not. It became clear that he was walking directly toward my car. As he passed under a street lamp, we saw it, a long, solid bar in his right hand. At this point, a crushing wave of terror soon came over us both. "Go, go, go!" my friend screamed in my ear. I started the car and put it in reverse. I turned away from him and toward the campus building, hoping to escape by circling the loop and exiting through the roadway's entrance. As I pressed the accelerator, I caught a glimpse of him. He was sprinting through the trees to block us off at the entrance. About halfway around the loop, I stopped and began to turn around. My flight or fight response was in full effect, and we had chosen the latter. The size of the roadway meant I had to do a 2/3 point turn, kicking my adrenaline into overdrive. My friend began to scream again. "He's running right toward us!" He had abandoned his plan to block us at the entrance and began to run directly toward the car. The distance between us shrank quickly. Finally, I was able to turn around. The maneuver likely took 10 seconds but felt so much longer. My foot hit the gas and I sped back around the loop. I now had a full view of the figure sprinting again through the trees, trying to trap us for a second time. I sped through the parking lot where we had sat peacefully a few minutes before. Just as I made it to the exit, he appeared on the left out of the trees. My foot was still on the gas. Because it was so fast, I still didn't get a good look at him. All I remember is the angry look on his face, his teeth bared and perhaps yelling in defeat. He had his arms thrown up in the air with that solid object still in his right hand. We sped down the road and further into the city. My heart rate didn't return to normal for half an hour. We drove around for a little bit, stunned, and recounting the details of what had just happened. We were eventually able to laugh about it, thinking about how dumb we were for allowing ourselves to get trapped so easily. We didn't go back to the spot again. The backyard seemed a better fit for us. Perhaps this man had a broken down car, or perhaps he was a parking enforcement officer. I like to think there is some rational explanation that we did not almost get mugged, assaulted, or murdered. That said, I'm glad we didn't stick around to find out. So, let's not meet. Thank you for listening to Tales with Blue. This story was found on Reddit, within the subreddit Letsnotmeet, and it was written by ntdnd. It was titled "The Man in the Parking Lot." I just want to let you know, ntdnd, that you are brave. The maneuver you pulled with the car, being able to escape the way you did, was amazing. Sometimes people under pressure would not have been able to do the things that you did. So I commend you for being able to escape with you and your friend. And I would have done the exact same thing. So congrats to you. At least you know that you were able to get away if needed. And I'm also glad to hear that you're not in any more empty parking lots. We want you to be safe. So you did a really good thing by making sure you're not in the same position again. Thank you for listening. And if you would like to hear more, please check out the rest of my channel. I'll be uploading more stories as I get them. Please see all the information below if you want to see more of Blue. Also, if you're interested in sending a story, please contact me. We have so many more to go, and I hope you're around to listen. Please hit the subscribe button and the thumbs up if you liked this video. Stay safe. This was Tales with Blue.